I'm JP Tuesday.
And I'm Kiki Cannon. As lifelong Disney fans, the work of countless talented Disney creatives have shaped our lives.
Now, as the Disney catalog expands, we're taking a journey through film and television to discover if that spark that shaped us as children lives on in adulthood.
Does your favorite Disney media still cast that same spell? Join us as we find out. We are Rewatching the Magic.
Hi, Kiki.
Hi, Tuesday.
All right, Kiki. Before you got here, there was an old witch across the street wanted to talk to me, and she said she can do a spell to make us a really, really big, successful podcast. All I had to get her was 4 things, and I think I got the 4 things. I'm going to run them by you. Cow as pure as gold, cape as white as milk, hair as red as blood, and slipper as yellow as corn. Did I get the right things?
I don't know. Something about that doesn't sound right.
Really?
Have we checked with our old witch 4 thing directory?
I don't know. But I do have Into the Woods. That's what we're going to be talking about today. The 2014 feature film from Disney that did have some controversy. Again, because it's like Into the Woods, the stage production, very well known of basically being a satire of the Disney fairy tale formula. It was doing this decades before Shrek ever came along. So Disney now doing the musical adaptation of a satire of basically their work. What would they change? What would be Disney-fied in it? And would they keep the somewhat darker tone and some of the adult nature of the play? Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, when you say older than Shrek, I mean, this is Into the Woods as a musical first hits the stage 1986, I believe, is correct. And then the next year on Broadway. Meanwhile, the book Shrek that the film series is based on, 1990. So beat them by about 4 years. Not saying that Sondheim and co. are the first to do these kind of dissection of fairy tales by any means. They weren't exactly breaking entirely new ground, but it was kind of one of the more popularly known ones.
Yeah, and I'm familiar with, I believe it was the 1991 filmed production, the one that was done for PBS, which reunited the original Broadway cast for that filming. And I did throw it your way prior to us watching the film, just because I did want that reference to the original stage production, or the closest thing to the original stage production that we have recorded. Which, dear listener, you can actually watch. It's on YouTube. It's for free. Someone uploaded that original, that 91 PBS recording on YouTube. By all means, go watch that. Please go watch that and don't watch this movie.
Or watch both, you know. But if you're only gonna watch one, yeah, go watch the other one instead. But yeah, that was the one I grew up on. If there's a PBS did this back in the late 80s, early 90s, that's gonna be the thing I grew up on. Bet. I mean, yeah.
This is what introduced me to Bernadette Peters. And yeah, Bernadette Peters' smoke show then, and kind of still smoke show now in her 70s.
Yeah, I mean, have you seen Bernadette Peters lately? As we're recording this, she still has it. Wow. And she still has the voice too. I mean, good for her. That's the most impressive thing. You can do a lot of stuff to kind of keep a body, looking okay for a camera, but to keep that powerhouse voice that's witchcraft, let me tell you.
Bernadette Peters, who originated the witch. She was the original witch in Into the Woods on Broadway. And she is so known for that role. That role is so synonymous with her, especially in having that 91 filmed version, that anyone who would come after that is going to be compared to her performance. And that was my fear coming into this movie. Yes, I understand, oh, they're going to change this, that, and the other. I knew that was going to happen because that's what you do in adaptations. But when they heard Meryl Streep was going to be the witch, I know Meryl Streep can sing. I know she's done stage. You know, she was originally a stage actor. She has done musical theater. She was in a Sondheim musical in her early career. But, no offense, she's no Bernadette Peters. And I feel bad saying that because, again, whoever's going to be playing the witch in Into the Woods is going to be compared to Bernadette Peters.
Yeah, sometimes, and I mean, I love Meryl Streep's acting. I mean, and who doesn't? And actually, I like Meryl Streep singing too. I have no problem with it, and I've liked her in all of the musicals I've seen her in. But I kind of just wondered why they didn't use Bernadette Peters. I mean, I know Meryl Streep is a bigger name, but it's not like Bernadette Peters isn't a name. And they filled this movie with so many other names,
Yeah, I mean, you have so many people that are, again, while they're mostly known for their acting, they can do stage, they can do, they can do stage, they can do music. They're known. And, you have Chris Pine and Johnny Depp and Emily Blunt and Tracy Ullman and James Corden. But,
Well,
we'll
remember when this came out, the goodwill was still there for James Corden. This was before the tide started to turn on him. So even that was like, wow,
Mm-hmm.
So he was having a good run on stage at the time. I think that was right around the time that he got his first Tony. So I'm saying good casting choice at the time if you're wanting to ride that wave of notoriety, goodwill. He was at his most bankable right about that time.
Then he twerked in a mouse costume.
Yeah, whatever. It is what it is.
And a catsuit.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to talk as little about that as possible. Pretty much everybody that's in this film was kind of, not the height, because Johnny Depp had already kind of started to crest, but pretty much everybody else was really highly bankable, and a fairly excellent choice. I'm not really going to knock the casting on any of this. I mean, including Meryl Streep. Like I said, you can ask why they didn't do Bernadette Peters, and the only thing is that, okay, Meryl Streep is a bigger name to the public, Okay, fine. I get it.
Like, I can get it. Like, when Bernadette Peters did the original role, she was young. So that was kind of the whole transformation from old witch to young woman.
Let's point it out. Meryl Streep is about the same age as Bernadette Peters. I mean, they're in a similar age range. And I'm going to say, just like we just said about Bernadette Peters, Meryl Streep can still get it. I mean, she goes from looking like Meryl Streep with really bad old age makeup to looking like Meryl Streep ready for the red carpet. And she's like, I'm young and beautiful again. And you're like, okay, for certain versions of young, but definitely beautiful. Like you're not gonna knock that one. Like,
I mean, they could have put Emily Blunt as the witch. They could have put Anna Kendrick as the witch and full blown young and beautiful in that regard.
here's the one that really trips me out though. So we've got Johnny Depp doing his cameo one song as the wolf. I don't know why they didn't do what they normally do in the stage show, which is have the same guy who plays Cinderella's prince play the wolf.
Let's kind of get to that. Yeah, in the stage production, a lot of the secondary characters play two roles. The Cinderella's prince and the wolf are the same actor. I believe it is Red Riding Hood's grandma also voices the giant. And I believe
Well, when we're talking about casting of the giant, they went a really good way with that. But I get why you would maybe not, you would think like, oh, well, they're just doing that on the stage to save like actors and stuff, but like it really does take away one of the main themes of having the Wolf's song, and we'll get to how bad they screwed up the Wolf's song thematically, not even like musically or cinematically or anything, just in theme, that the director really didn't seem to understand the point of it in the story. But one of the things that is done by having and if you're like a theater person and you're listening to this and you're thinking of directing this stage show sometime, please keep those two roles done by the same actor, because it really helps the theme of the story. So if you at all can, like, unless you're doing like a bunch of little children or something, and it's like, well, we have, 20 little kids auditioned and we have to put all 20 in the play, I understand that. But, if you're actually able to use, best actors where you can and stuff, please find an actor who can do both roles and make the prince and the wolf the same actor, because that's actually kind of in there for a reason.
they're both predators.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's their predatory roles, and it just takes you longer to see it in the prince than you do in the wolf.
and the wolf song is supposed to be very sexual. Yes, it is a wolf preying on a young girl to eat, but it's also preying on a woman. Yes, a young woman, but it's predatory in that regard.
Let's just go ahead and jump to that, because it's like seriously the shortest part of the film, because Johnny Depp is on screen for like 3 minutes and then he's gone and we don't have to deal with him anymore.
Oh, well, Johnny Depp apparently was offered a bigger role in the movie. I don't remember who he was supposed to play, but his asking price would have turned the movie over budget. So he agreed to do a smaller role, the wolf, for like a fraction of his normal pay. And that's why he's in the movie, because he really wanted to be in the movie, but his asking price was too high. So they gave him a role that he can get a lower pay and he can still be in the movie. And Disney can sell this movie on Johnny Depp in Into the Woods.
The thing is though, is I kind of wish that he had done neither, because like you said, the wolf song, Hello Little Girl, yes, there are parts of it that are supposed to be sexual, but only part of it is supposed to be overtly sexual, and it's the part that only the audience is supposed to be aware of. It's kind of done in two parts, and the movie kind of forgets that. But on stage, it's meant to be done in the part that the little girl hears, and then the aside, which is supposed to be the wolf's thoughts to himself, which only the audience hears. And so it's supposed to be a happy, cheerful skipping song. Come over here, little girl, what's your hurry? You're missing all the flowers, we could talk for hours, whatever the lyrics are, yada yada. That's the happy nursery rhyme part of the song. It's meant to sound childish and very innocent until you think about it, okay? It's meant to be very non-threatening. And Johnny Depp does not get that at all, and neither did the director, or else maybe there would have been a conversation, which I guess there never was, or if there was, he would have been like, yeah, I'm Johnny Depp, I'm a rock star, let's rock it,
It's also a situation where Johnny Depp's at that point in his career where any character he plays is just Johnny Depp. I'm counting Jack Sparrow in this.
Yeah, and the last time it worked, let's just be honest, the last time that worked was Jack Sparrow. Has it worked in a character since then? I would argue it has not.
Which really hurts Sweeney Todd, to be honest.
Yeah, I really wanted to love that one more than I did. There's some good parts about that movie, most of which are Alan Rickman. I'm just gonna go out there and say it. But a lot of the other actors really brought it in that movie. But yeah, the kind of Tim Burton of it all, kind of, yeah.
I mean, I understand it's a Disney movie, but I'm really, really glad that they did not include the wolf's front tail in the stage costume.
Yeah, which uh, a lot of school productions do this, and those productions tend to leave that out as well. So
I don't know what Sondheim or the people making the stage production were thinking. And yes, if you watch the 91 filmed version, you can see the wolf's front tail in full view.
yeah, so I really didn't expect that, given the rating that was listed for it. I was like, okay, we're probably going to go more the high school version of this.
At least he's wearing pants.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, they did not get the duality of this song at all. It just starts in with like, hello, I am an evil, sleazy wolf. I am here to devour you. And which makes it, you're like, okay, they've kind of set up Red Riding Hood in this film as she's a thief and she's a little bit manipulative of adults, but she doesn't come off as like ignorant or unaware of that sort of danger.
A little gluttonous because she eats most of the goodies before she even gets to grandma's.
Yeah, but she seems like she would understand that sort of the point of the wolf is he's supposed to be slick. He's supposed to present himself as very unassuming. I'm not a wolf. I'm a puppy dog. Like, I'm just
hey
your
there,
friend.
Little Red Riding Hood. You're everything a big bad wolf could want. I'm just a little sheep. I'm going to put my sheep costume on just for you, Little Red.
Yeah. And it comes back again after the baker saves Red and Grandma.
We don't need to tell you the story of Red Riding Hood.
Yeah, well, and that's what I love about this movie is it's like we actually don't need to tell you the story of most of these characters. the movie shows more than the stage play will ever show you. Like, the
Because
movie
you're going in,
actually,
like, you already know these stories. You know the story of Cinderella. You know the story of Jack and the Beanstalk. You know the story of Little Red Riding Hood. You know the story of Rapunzel. We don't need to tell you what they are. And that is the beauty of the stage play, because you are cutting in and out of these stories. Honestly, the movie shows more of the Cinderella story than the stage production does. Because we don't see the rags turn into the dress in the stage production. We don't see her on the steps of the palace in the stage production. She just sings about it.
yeah, I mean, it's very inventive the way that the stage production does it, but I can understand, all right, you have to do this as a adaptation. But like I told you off mic, when uh we were watching in preparation for this, I think that everything you can talk about in the problem of adapting stage musicals to film is shown in the first opening number. You know, that opening number, that first song shows the problem with it. And that's either where an adaptation's director is going to prove they've got the chops, or they are going to kind of faceplant. And the director here, which, I mean, we talked about this off mic again. The director of this was Rob Marshall, who has directed quite a few musical adaptations into film.
You know, he did Chicago. We did an episode on Rodgers and Hammerstein's Cinderella, the Brandy Whitney Houston version. He directed that. He would go on to do Mary Poppins Returns and the remake of The Little Mermaid and Pirates of the Caribbean on Stranger Tides, but we don't talk about that. Not to mention that he was the director for several Broadway stage productions. So he knows how these musicals are supposed to work. He knows how to adapt a show from stage to screen. It feels like he didn't do any of that in this movie.
Yeah, I was gonna say he also directed the movie Nine, which is not as well known, but yet another musical film. Okay, while Chicago is probably the best of his, musical film work, it's not the greatest of adaptations. A lot of that, I think, is because Chicago is so tied as a musical to the original choreography to me. Like, every time I think of the musical Chicago, I think of the Bob Fosse choreography. And when I watched the movie, I was like, oh, did they have to change this choreography because the two lead actresses could not handle it? Because that's some pretty demanding choreography. And in doing the research for this, I discovered, no, that's not the reason. It's because Rob Marshall was a choreographer. And so when he moved to directing, he was a choreographer. And Chicago was his first movie.
Like I said, he did direct those stage productions, and he was choreographer on those stage productions.
And for some people, it works, like it did for Bob Fosse. And for some people, I'm not going to finish that sentence. So, but the thing here that Into the Woods shows, I think, about the problems with adapting stage to screen sometimes is we've got this big opening number with the, I wish, and then it transitions into that first Into the Woods medley with all the characters.
I wish to go to the festival.
Yeah, the baker and his wife wish to have the child. The Jack and his mom wish that the cow would give milk, and the Cinderella wants to go to the festival, and Red Riding Hood is just wishing to get through the woods okay, I guess, to go visit her grandma. And, everybody has their own little segment. It introduces the motivations of the characters and lets you know who they are. We know who everybody is, except for this baker and wife, who are.
I thought that they were supposed to be the couple from Thumbelina, since they were the childless couple who wished for a child. But they have a boy in this story, and it's a normal
and
boy.
yeah, he's not a size of your thumb boy.
No Tom Thumb
Yeah,
in this story.
yeah. I've always just thought that they were like, once upon a time there was a very nice couple who lived on the edge of the woods, and it's like they're not anybody special, they're just the people that get caught up in the fairy tale,
They're the audience surrogate characters in the world of fairy tales.
Yeah. The thing is that it introduces the baker and his wife, and then it lets you know who all of the other people on stage are going to be playing. Okay? We've got Cinderella, we've got Rapunzel, we've got Red Riding Hood, we've got Jack from Jack and the Beanstalk. Okay, we know these characters. All right, we're good. Thank you for setting up the story. That's the point of this song, and the point of the song is to get you into, I feel like watching a musical. All right, we're in musical headspace now. All right? And then you end with the big, everybody's on stage, we've met all our cast, everybody can hear the applause for the first time. We're ready to do a show, people. All right, yeah. Okay, that's the point of this song. But film doesn't really work like that. I mean, there's some overlap, but it doesn't have the same vibe. You, as an audience, you don't need the same thing. As actors, you definitely don't need the same thing, because the actors have already filmed stuff. They're off of, like, they've made 3 other movies by the time you watch this thing. They've well and truly, wandered off into something else. Okay. So you don't have to get them psyched up for a good show. You don't have to get the musicians ready for a good show. You don't. Okay. All of that's fine. So this now is just exposition and audience. And now we're worried about how to keep track of 18 different characters who are on screen and where they are in time and place, which is not always the same time and definitely not the same place. And you know what I'm saying? And he absolutely kind of botches this opening in a way where something like the original, and we talked about the remake, and Spielberg just kind of reuses the same kind of idea, but something like the Shark and Jets face off, and Tonight in West Side Story, when you're doing that and you can kind of just split screen it, once you flip over there and let everybody knows where it is, you just kind of split screen it, and that lets everybody know where everybody is, and you've got that powerful moment on screen. It kind of doesn't work here because the characters haven't established themselves well enough at this point to hold that kind of thing if you just hold their faces in a split screen. So you have to have more movement, but also it's too many running parts to do. And I'm gonna give him enough credit to say I don't know how I would do it either, because This is an opening that starts great on stage, and I have no idea how you would start this on film in a way that doesn't seem either overly frantic or really confusing.
Yeah, and that's why most of the at least most modern music starts slow off. You get like one or two people on stage or the ensemble, and then you get one of the leads singing or something. You know, not to not go into something else, but kind of like the stage opening of Wicked versus the movie opening of Wicked. It's in one hand it is faithful to the opening of the stage production, but it also is a way to do that opening in a way that fits the cinematic tone.
I'm not faulting Sondheim and Lapine here for like writing a bad opening. This is a banger opening. Like, this song is great. Awesome. Don't change a note. But, and the screenplay was written by James Lapine as well. So I'm not saying that the fault lies there either. It's just, how do you visualize this?
Yeah, like like you were saying, the on stage they're just standing on a stage. They're standing next to each other, singing "Into the Woods," but now they're in four different places, going toward And now you have to show movement from their respective starting points: the Baker's house, Cinderella's house, Jack's house, Red Riding Hood leaving the baker's house. And now you have to do the song that is traditionally done with five characters standing on a stage because you got to count the baker's wife. Now going from standing on a stage and transfer that to having them move because this is a motion picture. So you have to show them moving from one location to the other. And the best shot of that scene is the four characters, the Baker, Cinderella, Jack, and Red, all taking different paths into the woods, like the literal entrance to the woods, and you see the four characters entering from different sides as the stepmother and the stepsisters are riding in the wagon or the carriage.
Yeah, and but that is literally the final shot of a pretty prolonged opening, And again, I'm not saying I would particularly know how to do it. I'm just saying it's a real head scratcher of how you transfer that same kind of feeling of motion. You would think it would be easier because it's like, well, you've got a camera and CGI and green screen. You can do whatever you want. But it actually makes it harder. I can think of 20 different ways I'd do that on stage. I can't think of one I'd do on film that I think would look okay. So, bravo to him for at least coming up with that final shot, because that at least was kind of cool. But it does point out how difficult it is when you're trying to take stuff that is strangely easy on stage because the audience's brain fills in so much. Like, you can just have a character stand there and sing, "There are giants in the sky," and you don't have to show a giant. You don't have to show any sort of beanstalk. You don't have to. Basically every version I've ever seen on stage with Jack singing "Giants in the Sky" is just him standing in the woods telling the baker the story. And it's all on the actor to paint the picture with his expression, with his movements, the lyrics of the song and the way he sings them. But you do have the feeling that an audience expectation is going to be like, okay, so why are we just sitting here watching this little kid sing about it? Like, show us a flashback to like what you did when you met the giants, you know? And so
Yeah,
in some ways it feels like the movie, by default of being a movie and by being able to show us more than a stage play is ever able to show us, is weirdly made worse by being able to show us more. I don't know.
I don't know. My only concern with Jack is I think they casted Jack too young in this movie. Because the entire point of this of it is that Jack is, as in the stage production, but not the movie, he would say that he is a grown man now. He doesn't need to be babied by his mother. But he's still very naive about the world. He's not, he's, I would say, somewhere between younger or mid teenager level. But they cast an actual kid to be Jack in here, which kind of takes away that my son is a fool vibe that's supposed to be there. Jack is supposed to be a bit older, but is still naive. He doesn't even know that the cow is a female or stuff like that. Hence the line of the giant woman holds you to her giant breast and you learn things you never knew before. Kind of sounds weird coming out of a little kid.
I mean, I thought that honestly both the Red Riding Hood and the Jack characters should be, and were probably meant to be, roughly of a similar age. Every time that I've kind of read the play, I mean, similar age as in within, 3-4 years maybe.
I love Red in this movie. She was perfectly casted.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm just saying that I think that that's the point of those characters, is to be like, because they both have similar lines about maybe puberty-ish kind of things and stuff like that. And while I guess a lot of people are more focused on like the danger side of it, I guess, with Red, there are some kind of playful lines in her lyrics too, Uh, so you don't want her to be too young either. You kind of want them to be both about that, like they're hitting that pubescent kind of stage where the both of them are going from childish things into more adult concerns. So I think that you're right that the mother thinks he should probably be starting to focus on more adult things, but not, I think, in the same age range that probably our society today would think, that because of just like the age ranges of when, kids would be expected to go out and get a job and start helping to provide for the family and stuff, in that kind of time, weird time space that fairy tales all kind of seem to take place in.
Yeah.
um so I feel you on that, and I kind of agree and disagree. It didn't throw me off, I guess, as much as it threw you off.
Right. But I want to go back to what you said about the with Red's song here, and kind of intertwine it with what you said earlier about this is a movie you have to show a little bit more. Really, this is a movie that takes place in the world of fairy tales, and they took all of the color out of this movie. I understand this need to make it realistic really harms the story, because even in the stage production, it is, at least during the first half, very bright, very colorful. It is not until the giant comes down and starts wrecking things that things start getting bleak and loses color. But it's that way the entire movie. This is the world of fairy tales. It's supposed to be bright and colorful and you're supposed to feel like you're in a fairy tale world. And the only thing with color is this sequence of Red describing how it was to be eaten by the wolf. That is the most color in this movie. That is the most fantastical part of this movie.
In fact, the most color in this movie is Red's cape. At any point, when they described the objects, and you did the bit at the beginning, but they describe the object and describe them for real. Give them how they give the real descriptions.
The cape is red as blood, the cow is white as milk, the hair is yellow as corn, and the shoes as good as gold.
Yeah, and the thing is that, I mean, we mentioned this before. I kind of put a little bit of money into my TV back when I bought it, so it's pretty good. It shows color pretty good. And man, the color on this is so washed out, and the only thing that really shows up is that red cape. I mean, it's the cow that's as white as, the kind of a cow standing out in a field.
The fake cow with flour on it is more white.
It is. It comes off more true white on a TV screen. I don't remember what it looked like in the theater because, like, I saw it on opening weekend, so I don't remember. But and then the hair is yellow as corn. Like, it's like the hair is yellow as like a wig from a Spirit Halloween.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't, like, it should be like, oh, we have found it, not like, well, pull out your ear of corn and compare this chunk of hair. If you don't, like, he should see it and go like, oh my goodness, like, it should glow. You should have added CGI effects to it or something.
Flower, gleam, and glow, let your power shine.
Exactly. I mean, it should be that sort of Rapunzel hair if we're going to do that sort of thing. Like, if we're going to deal with magic here, let's deal with magic, people. Come on. Like, you can do that on stage. On stage, your cow is white as milk is some sort of puppet. It's always some sort of puppet. And it gets a laugh every time. And it's supposed to be ridiculous. Because
that's another thing.
A parody.
Okay. This is a satire. I said it's Shrek before Shrek. This is supposed to be a satire of fairy tales, specifically a satire of Disney fairy tales and how Disney tells their stories because this came out in the 80s.
Or even you could call it a satire of Grimm fairy tales. Grimm.
Yes, because they are using the Grimm fairy tale versions of the classic stories. But my point is, that's why I would encourage anyone to watch that stage production recording, because this show is supposed to be hilarious.
Oh, it's supposed to be so funny.
I have seen this show so many times since I was a young lad, and I still laugh at those jokes. They are still funny. But the movie removes the humor.
And you can say what you want about James Corden's comedy, but, like, James Corden is primarily a comedic actor. That's what he built his thing. And I'm like, do you know what it's like to watch James Corden deliver a line to an utterly silent theater that I have seen, like, 11-year-olds kill with? Like, I have seen 11-year-olds bring down the house delivering this material, my dude. Somebody did you wrong. Like,
there are funny people in the movie. That is the thing. You have Tracy Ullman, who is funny. Chris Pine can be really funny when he wants to.
You ever seen Anna Kendrick in an interview? Anna Kendrick can absolutely slay. And in here, she is almost deadpan. Like, she has some of the funnier scenes in the movie, but even Anna Kendrick is like almost just walking through this completely deadpan. And I was like, oh, my poor child. What is wrong? I mean, Christine Baranski is one of the great comic actresses of our generation. Like, I grew up watching that woman in like 5 different comedy series that are legendary. What the hell is this movie?
Yeah, and she is good casting as the stepmother. And yes, this has to do with the director because he is giving the direction for these actors. And he tells them to deliver the jokes straight. Like when the wolf eats red, you hear the narrator saying, and the wolf ate her up, and it's supposed to be very sarcastic, joke to the audience. Oh yeah, they both had a good meal that day. But the way James Corden delivers it, oh, they had a full meal that day. Like a, I understand why. I understand why he's given the cadence because it's explained at the end of the movie. He is telling this story to his son. So I understand he has to do a certain cadence because it's supposed to be a father telling his son the story. I get it. But that is supposed to be a funny line.
Also, like, it's kind of like somebody who's also never told a pre-verbal child a story. Because if you've ever listened to parents telling pre-verbal children a story, parents will say some wild things to kids, and as long as you keep it in that kind of tone. Yes, and that's why Grandma and Grandpa don't talk to each other anymore. Yes, it is, isn't it? Yes. It's like they will tell the most hideous and awful things. And as long as they keep it in that kind of tone, that's what yeah, because that's how we're gonna do it, isn't it, babies? Yes, it is. So the thing is, you can deliver some really harsh things as long as you keep it in that kind of cadence, and that makes it even funnier.
Like, two of my favorite jokes in the original stage play is when Rapunzel finally confronts the witch after everything. You kept me in a tower, you set me away, you ruined my life. I can never be happy, mother. And then she turns around and to the audience and just says, I was just trying to be a good mother, and Bernadette Peters kills with that line.
Yeah, Meryl Streep just kind of like it just it goes nowhere when Meryl Streep delivers that. And you can't blame that on Meryl Streep. Like, there's no universe you can blame that on Meryl Streep.
No. And the other one being when Cinderella confronts her husband about him cheating on her. And in the play, he is a very, very debonair, I was trying to be charming, not sincere. And it's a hilarious line. And Chris Pine just delivers it flat. That is a line that gets a big laugh in the show. And it's just nothing here. Nothing.
Yeah, and I think, we were talking about this unfortunate phenomenon.
Do, 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 do.
Yeah, off mic, and I was saying how the one scene that does kind of retain some of the humor that it has in the original play is the first meeting between Cinderella and the baker's wife, because Emily Blunt and Anna Kendrick just have like real chemistry in that. And so their quips to each other about like, well, why would you run away from a prince? And like, well, it was the ball wasn't exactly what I thought it was gonna be. Like, well, was he different than other princes you met? Like, well, I don't know. I don't meet a lot. Like those kind of lines where she's having to admit, like, the baker's wife is really grilling Cinderella on, like, what was your basis for comparison here, chica? You know, like, and she's like, okay, I really didn't have a basis of comparison. I just got freaked out and couldn't handle it and ran away. All right, what do you want from me? Like, some of those notes still do kind of hit, but the problem is that the editing, which again, this is, the director takes over here, is it starts editing really quickly around them because the Sondheim language is very quick. You know, it's one of those Sondheim patter songs that gets very quick back and forth. And so the director decides that the editing and the camera work needs to do that MTV style, where it goes back and forth with every one of them, instead of just kind of holding the camera mostly still on a two shot and moving around them and letting the actors do the work. He keeps like close shot, close up, and cutting between each one as each of them has a line in the patter song, which just, as a viewer, it just makes your brain feel like you are in a blender at that point. And you're like, just hold the camera still so I can hear what they're saying, you know? Which is kind of ridiculous, but you do get this weird, like, motion sense, you know, blender effect that doesn't give you time to breathe and take in the jokes. And if he'd have just let that scene breathe for a second and not even slow down the rhythm, but just let the camera hold so you can see both actors and see their reactions and see Emily Blunt giving her little side eye, like, is that really your response to getting to meet a prince? And that, you know, like, I don't know. It's so frustrating because I'm like, you had all the working parts, my dude, and look what you did with it. Like,
yeah, I want to talk about this one character that was cut from the movie that, honestly, I understand why, but I think there was a way you could have made it work. The narrator. In the movie, we get James Corden's the baker doing the narration. And again, I get it because it's supposed to be a full circle moment because he's been telling his son the entire story. I understand that. But the stage production, they have the narrator, he tells the story, and yeah, he has a lot of the jokes, and they're really funny if performed correctly. But of course, there's that scene where it gets meta, where the characters in the story do not like how the narrator is telling the story, bringing him into the story and feeding him to the giant. I love that. And I don't know how you would do this in a movie, but I am so sad they never even attempted it.
I kind of do know how you would do that in this movie because Disney has a history of doing this in their movies. It's the storybook opening. I mean, literally, why would you not do that? If you're doing a movie for Disney, because I mean, they would do it a couple of years later when they did, you know, Disenchanted, is you do the storybook opening and then you have a narrator, you know, or just show somebody opening it and reading it to children or something, or just reading it to the audience or whatever.
I would love if Meryl Streep's witch had just reached through the camera and reached out of the book and grabbed him and pulled him in.
Yeah, it would have been great.
No, you can't do this. I'm the narrator. I'm not part of the story. Well, you're part of the story now.
Yeah, and especially since we see more of the giant than we do on stage.
Yeah, you can't really do giant on stage like that, you know.
Yeah,
So,
but I liked the way they did the giant here. Mostly just because I liked who they cast. You know, I mean, you gotta love Frances Delatour. I mean, she's great. She's a good actress, and I do like seeing her and stuff. And so I laughed when I realized who they cast as the giant. That was kind of the one moment I kind of outwardly cackled watching this movie. But yeah, I know that they wanted to make it like a, going back to the narrator thing. I know they wanted to make it like a, oh, let's make this, a full circle, and show that he really is a good dad, because he ends by telling the story to his kid, and see, he's learned to be a good dad at the end and stuff, because that's supposed to be the whole narrative of the Baker. And they change a lot of little things, and apparently, because the screenplay was written by the original writer, and Sondheim was apparently down with all the changes, according to everybody involved. He was apparently okay with it, and with cutting the songs that they cut and everything, and the storylines they cut, because there are so many more storylines and characters in the stage play, but this movie was already like well over 2 hours. But it was supposed to be, the whole point of this thing is to make the audience feel like, okay, we've gone through this and everybody's got their happy ending, before going like, oh, remember that one little beanstalk that you had, that we kind of literally threw away earlier in the movie? Yeah, we haven't forgotten about that. And now that's on stage it's very obvious that it's not over. It's a little less obvious in a film, which I like.
Yeah, in the play, the end of the story, the happily ever after, is the end of Act 1. And then you got the intermission,
Yes.
and then you come back to after ever after.
Yeah, so you absolutely know, even in your first time seeing this on stage, that like, okay, they're all happy. This is usually where the story ends, what's going on. But you can kind of be lulled into it in a movie theater, because if you're not looking at like a watch or cell phone or anything, if you've lost track of like, how long have I been watching this movie, today it's a little bit different, because if you're sitting with streaming, you can kind of like pause it and be like, I still have how long left in this movie, But if you're just in the flow of the movie and you've let yourself go, all of a sudden the movie just turns at what you think is like, oh, we're about to get the closing credits. And the movie, to its credit, does do a good job of making you feel like this is the moment where the closing credits are going to go. And then it doesn't.
We're at the castle. We're about to do the double wedding. Rapunzel and Cinderella are going to marry their princes. Everyone has.
Well, they already have.
Jack had.
They've already gotten married. Yeah. This is the reception afterwards.
All the villagers are there. The baker and his wife have their baby. And Jack is there with his mom and the cow, and they're now rich because of the golden eggs and all that stuff. And and you get the narrator, and they lived happily ever. Boom! And enter the giant.
Yeah, I will say that one of the other few jokes that lands is when Cinderella is riding by and she sees the baker and his wife holding their newborn child, and the baker's wife points at the child and goes like, see, I was telling the truth, because earlier in the movie she says, I know it sounds crazy, but I need your shoe to have a baby. And Cinderella goes, that makes no sense. And she's like, yeah, I know, just trust me. And then like she shows up like 3 months later with a baby. Like
Anna Kendrick's facial expressions just make that entire scene.
Yeah,
it's goes like, smiling, yay! Wait, what?
Yeah, weirdly, the one joke they managed to land is like one of the jokes that's not really in the play, because you can't really do that. The logistics of that is not really a joke you can do in the play. But yeah, one of the few jokes that actually got me when I was watching it. Um, but yeah, you're right. It's like literally at the happily ever, and then the giant attack comes. And you realize, like, oh, we still have what is technically Act 2 of the play to go.
If I were to have a complaint about the second half of the movie, is that at least in the stage production, it is kind of treated like, okay, happily ever after, and then what happens next. But the film kind of treats it more like an epilogue to the story rather than the next chapter of the story, if that makes any sense. Like, the most important part was the ending of the fairy tale, and then, okay, this other stuff happened. But that stuff is just as important as the rest of the story.
Yeah, and the thing is that the problem with the film that doesn't happen with the play is that it feels like the pacing slows down. And they cut out or drastically shortened several of the best songs in the play, which come into Act 2.
They cut my favorite song from Act 2. No more.
Which one was yours? No More? Yeah.
No More.
A lot of people were really, really mad about that. It is used in the score. You can hear it if you know the music, you can hear it. But yeah. The thing is that the one that really angered me, and I'll just go ahead and say it now, we could talk about it more a little bit later, but was that they really, really angered most fans of the play by cutting half of No One Is Alone and then turning Children Will Listen into like the ending credits song that you can't really hear because everybody's like getting up and like, oh, finally I can go pee after 2.5 hours of movie, and
And at least for the finale, because it is a stage play, the actors come back out to sing that song, and they don't really do that in the movie. The thing is that it's established in this movie, at least in the second act, that there are ghosts in this forest, or at least some sort of magical presence. Because we get the spirit of the baker's father, we get the spirit of the baker's wife. Why not get the spirit of the witch?
We saw Cinderella's mother in the first half of the movie.
Yeah.
As a ghost. And it was treated like, yeah, I mean, she goes out there and talks to the spirit of her mom like every day or whatever,
I mean, again, that is more in tune to the original story. There was no fairy godmother. It was her mother.
Yeah.
That gave her all those things. But why not have Meryl Streep make one more appearance as a spirit singing Children Will Listen? That's how it is in the play.
Well, and the thing is that one of the things that really takes away the impact of that is that she sings the lead up to Children Will Listen, which is kind of when Rapunzel and her prince and stuff leave during the giant's attack. But she sings the kind of prelude to what will eventually become Children Will Listen when she sings the song about, it doesn't matter what you do, children never listen, children don't hear a word you say, children refuse to follow what you want, because Rapunzel and her prince leave her supposed mother, the witch, and wander off into the forest. Now, in the play, this is very important because her refusing to listen to her mother, turning away and going off into the forest is what gets her killed.
She is stepped on by the giant.
So that's what makes the witch so angry at the end of like, why can't you all take any sort of responsibility for your part in bringing this giant and her rampage down on our kingdom, like, yeah, okay, I admit it. I'm a witch. I've done things. Yeah, okay, goes with the territory. You can throw that at me all day and I will accept it. But hello, Jack, you're a greedy little snot. And, Red Riding Hood, why are you constantly wandering off into the woods when your mother tells you not to? You're stealing things from people and you're wandering up to wolves that you shouldn't, and everybody's always having to save you. Where if you just stick to the safe paths and listen to your parents, you wouldn't be in these situations. And now your mom and your grandma have both gotten killed. You know, and also, it's Red Riding Hood in the movie and the play that keeps going like, oh really, I don't believe you about the giants, go up and steal more stuff. And I still don't believe you, go steal more stuff, because she's also kind of greedy. And it's like, she calls out the baker on his stuff and the fact that he's about to abandon his child again, like his dad did to him, and just continue the real family curse, you know? And then, she calls out like every single member of this little group they've got, of like, you're not great people, you're just nice.
Nice is different than good.
And, me being the big Pratchett fan I am, that's kind of the point of one of the witches in Terry Pratchett's stuff there too, is like, nice doesn't really count for much if you don't do good. You gotta do good. Now, granted, the witch in this story is not good. She never really does good at any point.
But she's right.
You can be correct and still be evil as hell.
She even says it. I'm not good, I'm not nice, but I'm right.
She's not the one to be following either, but there's good in the characters that we follow. There's good in the baker. There's good in Cinderella. There's good in Jack. There's good in Red Riding Hood, as much of a little snot as she is. I love her to death. There's good in all these characters, but there are flaws.
And that's kind of the entire point of Act 2, is that these are people who has gotten everything they've ever wanted. They didn't earn it. They start the movie with, I wish, and all of their wishes come true, and they didn't really earn it. You could say that the baker and his wife earned it because they worked hard to get that kid, but still.
Did they really work hard, or did they kind of just manipulate?
Its very ends justify the means for the baker and his wife for the first part of the story. But that's kind of the point of where we get to at the end, is that they're not happy for most of the part. Even, the baker is second guessing himself as a father because he cannot calm his child. Cinderella is finding out that the life of luxury isn't what it, paints itself to be. And Red loses everything. Jack, being a thief, he's rich now. His family's rich, but he stole everything. He didn't earn it. He stole it.
And also he doesn't have family.
Not anymore.
Because he started out with him and his mom, and now it's just him. He supposedly did all of this so that, his mom could live a life of luxury and all that, and it's like, well, okay, yeah, she died in some nice fine clothes, though. Right next to the royal family she died.
But, that's kind of the lesson that the second act is supposed to teach you. That they got what they wanted, but they didn't earn it. And now they blame each other for the problem. This is your fault. This is your fault.
It also was the thing they wished for the thing they really wanted. It did this Cinderella. I mean, we've done many Cinderella stories. But did this Cinderella in this story really want the prince and the life of luxury, or did she maybe just want her family to stop treating her awfully and like maybe have a nice cottage somewhere with her bird friends?
I mean, yeah, she even says it in the movie. I didn't want to live with my family because they abused me, I didn't really dream about living in the palace. I want something in the middle. She even says she doesn't actually mind cleaning when she wants to, not when she's ordered to.
Yeah, I mean, there's there's something about like doing something for yourself and doing something when you feel you're like required to do things, you know? And I think that's all she wanted, and that's probably why she was running away from the prince in the first place. Like, yeah, she wanted to go to the ball, but she didn't want to go to the ball to like meet the prince and have him fall in love with her. She just wanted to go to a party. Like, can I have one night off of work? Like,
She even says it to her stepmother, like, the ball is 3 nights. Surely I can go to one of them. Just one night so to have fun.
yeah, I want to put on a pretty dress, and I want to put on my dancing shoes, and I want to drink some champagne, and I want somebody to go like, "Oh, girl, your hair looks great." Like that's all Cinderella wanted in this story. Is like one night of that, and then maybe longer term, not to be servant girl to her dad's widow. Like, can we have that? Like, I mean, that
Yeah.
seems pretty reasonable, but somehow that like I want to go to a party for one night ended up like suddenly I'm the future queen of the kingdom and everybody and she even says it like I can't even come to visit my mom's grave anymore without like it being a whole procession and there's like a retinue and I've got guards and she's basically a prisoner inside the palace.
She's basically trading one prison for another in that regard. It's just that she's not a servant. But she still can't go anywhere, you know?
Yeah, she's not a servant, but maybe she's more like a pet now.
Yeah. And even then, part of that is her prince, as we find out. Let's get to that part. While the prince, I truly believe the prince loved Cinderella. I think he really did. But it's all about the chase for him. He wanted to pursue someone. It's, like, it's the dog that catches the car. They want to catch the car, but they don't know what to do when they actually catch the car. And that's the prince. He wants to pursue Cinderella, but he really doesn't know what to do after the pursuit, which is why he starts to pursue the baker's wife. And also, they cut the Reprise of Agony where he tries to go after Snow White.
Yes, he likes to chase, but I think it's a little bit more than that in that there is sort of the trope of a certain kind of guy who's used to everything coming easily to him. And then he gets to the first time somebody says no, and then it just becomes such an irritant. He's like, wait, no, that's not a thing that happens to me. So even though Cinderella didn't like outright say no to him, he started showing her attention at the party on the first night and she ran away. And everybody says it in the play, like, who runs away from a prince? That doesn't make any logic. Like that's huh? And he's like, I know it's never happened, Just, once I find her and talk to her, I'll find out why she ran away. And then we will have our answer and it will never happen again, haha. And so I think that's really more the motivation because I'm sure that he's had girls play hard to get before and that's fun for him. But the fact that she legitimately does not seem to want him, she's not making goo goo eyes at him. This does not seem to be a game. Like she genuinely seems to be afraid for her life when she is running away from him.
And then she decides to make it a game. Yes, he's wants to pursue me so far that he put tar on the stairs so I won't want to run away. All right, I won't make this decision. my first decision I ever made in my entire life is me not making a decision. I won't decide whether I will go to him or run away or tell him the truth or whatever. I will make the prince make the decision and I will leave my shoe. He's going to make the decision for me. And that's another part of that not earning it. She didn't make the choice. Cinderella let the prince make the choice for her.
Her kind of growth at the end was she was like, no, I'm not going to be your wife anymore.
My point is, it's like, it's part of that chase. It's the princes love their wives. And they say, I love my wife. But there are two sleeping princesses in another castle. One is in a bed. One is in a coffin made of glass. Maybe we should go pursue those as well. Agony!
Yeah. Sorry, your princess is in another castle.
Oh, Cinderella just said, okay. Oh, hello, bird friends. Oh, my husband is cheating on me. Well, okay. I don't want to be your wife anymore. Tell everyone that the giant stepped on me, and then you're single again. I don't want to deal with you anymore.
Yeah. Also, one of the funny points in the movie is her talking to the birds, and then the Little Red Riding Hood just going like, "Wait, you can talk to birds?"
The one time the deadpan delivery works because that's how it's delivered in the play.
Yeah. And also because it's like in the play, by this point in the play, so much weird fairy tale stuff has happened by this point that you're like, wait, her talking to birds is where you draw the line?
We got a giant rampaging through the kingdom. We got a witch with magic beans that magicked a baby inside someone, and you're worried about talking to birds.
Yeah, I mean, there has been like way weirder stuff in this play by now, little girl, including you getting eaten by a wolf along with your grandma and not suffering at all for that. Like the baker just came along and cut you out of his stomach a few minutes later and you were both fine. Generally not a thing that can happen. But yeah, her talking to birds is the weird part. Finally she does make the decision. She's like, I'm not putting up with this. I'm staying here. I'm going to be caretaker to these kids, this family or whatever. Fortunately, like, I don't remember in the play there being any kind of like anything between the baker and Cinderella. It's just kind of like she needs a place to live and the kids need some sort of surrogate mom and he's probably too much of a doofus to keep the house clean. Like,
by this point in the play, all of their family members are dead.
Yeah, exactly. And so they form a little family together, but there's not like and now the baker and Cinderella are going to be a couple. Like, it's not that kind of thing.
Like, running away, the royal family, Cinderella's stepmother, stepsisters, and the steward run away. That scene still happens in the movie, in the play, but they come back at the end as spirits saying, yeah, we got lost and we starved to death.
Yeah.
That's not in the movie.
I kind of wish it was, though, like showing how useless they all are.
Because, make sure you know where you're going and eat before you go on your trip. Oh, okay, so you got lost, you starved to death.
Yeah, also the steward has the great thing when they first get into the woods in the movie where they're like, okay, what's the plan? He's like, I don't know, I don't make the plans, I just make sure they're followed. Like,
again, another joke that kind of falls flat in the movie.
In the play, there's both a setup and a payoff to that line, so when you hear it in the middle, if you've been watching this character, you're like, yeah, he's right. He's totally useless. Like.
And at least they kept something in terms of the for lack of a better term, the final battle of this movie, where the four characters have to come to this decision. They are about to kill someone who, through no fault of their own, how would I explain it? The giant is not from this world. The giant is just acting like a grieving widow because this kid killed her husband and stole from her. And she's the bad guy?
Yeah, and they're trying to explain it to her, and they're even trying to say, if you'll just stand still for a minute. Like, she doesn't even understand that her just, like, walking around is murdering people.
I mean, that's how Rapunzel dies in the play. That's how the baker's wife dies in the play, is she is stepped on.
Yeah, in the movie, it's kind of more accidental of, like, you know, the giant is walking nearby or something, and, like, a tree falls down because of that and knocks her over or something. It's a little more giant adjacent, let's say.
Yeah. But the point is that the giant doesn't know what she's doing. She's not from the normal world. She's from the world of the giants, where she doesn't know that she's actually causing harm. And granted, she doesn't want to listen because she's in grief. She's in mourning. She doesn't want to listen. All she wants is revenge for her husband's murder. These four characters have to come to the realization is they are going to have to kill a person. Whether it's right or wrong, that doesn't matter in the end. It's about survival. If they don't kill the giant, many more people will die. But they are killing in cold blood, and they have to come to terms with that.
And this is, like, really glossed over in the movie because they cut out so much.
Like I said, the cutting of no more adds to that. Adds to that glossing over, because it is the baker coming to this realization of what he has to do and accepting his responsibilities and ending the cycle that started with his father of abandoning his loved ones. You know, so it's like all of them coming together and accepting that they have to do this horrible act. The witch already accepted this. The witch was ready to throw Jack to the giant to end the suffering.
Because that was the only other choice. It's like, you kill the giant or you give the other thing that will stop the giant, which is she is demanding the person who killed her husband. Which is actually Jack. Granted, it was an accident on Jack's part, but yeah.
That was the point. Hey, you want to stop the giant, we need to sacrifice Jack. No, we can't sacrifice Jack. Well, why not? You either sentence Jack to death or you kill the giant. You do not have another option here. And they make the choice to kill the giant. And yeah, you're right, it is glossed over. Red is the one that makes that comment. We're about to kill a person. How can we justify this? And they go into, you are not alone.
Yeah, this is the thing that gets me, is because, like, if you're going to cut any song, and they chop this song pretty brutally, but according to the director, he says he remembers hearing Obama quote the lyrics to this song in a speech. Now, apparently, people have gone back and looked at the speech that he claims that it was, and Obama didn't quote the lyrics. He says kind of a similar sentiment, but he doesn't quote the lyrics. And in fact, they can't really find him, like, quoting the lyrics directly, but, like, you are not alone and no one is alone, kind of common phrases,
Yeah.
And Obama kind of did say them frequently in various permutations in his speeches. So the fact that he heard some kind of sentiment like that and was like, man, Into the Woods is a really good show. I wish I could direct that. Okay, sure. But, it's just kind of the way our brains work, apparently. But apparently that's kind of how he first went and started pitching the movie to people, as like, I want to direct this this film. And I was like, well, if that song was so important to you, why would you cut it? Because that song's important to me too, and I'm not sure I would have cut more than like maybe half a line. Like I'd have been like, I will cut entire whole other sequences out of this movie before I will cut any part of this song. But that's not the way he went. So
Yeah. I'm kind of with the witch. I'd kind of choose death over hanging out with these four too.
the way they come off in this movie, yes.
So like, again, having seen the original and seen the movie, especially the movie version, like, okay, Meryl Streep, I'm with you. I would choose death too. So on that, Kiki, does the movie version of Into the Woods have the magic?
I don't know. I mean, I don't like hate it, but it's not going to go down in history as like one of the great. It's like if this is the thing that makes you go like, "Hey, I've heard some stuff about this play and this is the only thing I can see right now." And then it gets you to go to like a traveling show of it or something. Okay, if this is your foot in the door, fine. If this is the only way you ever see it, I really hope not. Like at the very least, look up the PBS version, as long as it's available on YouTube or wherever.
Yeah, if this is the only way you can watch the story, fine. But I watched the original. I watched the stage production, the PBS film version, and then I watched this back to back. I will always go back to that PBS film version from '91. That is my ultimate version of Into the Woods. That is the version of Into the Woods that I would watch. So when it comes to this movie, it misses the mark so many times on what the themes of the story is supposed to be. So I'm going to say no magic, but if this is the only way for you to watch the story, fine. But I would go to YouTube, I would look up Into the Woods 1991, I would watch that because it's a much better version. But that is my opinion.
I'm gonna say that kind of as a parting shot here, there is something deep in the irony of having a film put out by Disney having like ending on the lyrics, careful the spell you cast, not just on children. Sometimes the spell may last past what you can see and turn against you. Careful the tale you tell, that is the spell. Children will listen.
Yeah, that speaks so much right now. Honestly, that probably has more of a relevance than You Are Not Alone.
Well, I mean, how many times have we talked about like the message Disney thought they were putting out with something and the message that it kind of ended up permeating throughout the culture over the decades?
Yeah.
All the stuff with the Disney princesses and all the stuff with the, wish on a star and your wish will come true. And I mean, half of the stuff that the display is even talking about, and that's what they choose to basically end the movie on. It goes into some other stuff during the credits, but as far as the final punch of the movie, that's the lyrics they choose. Which is the one point I will give this movie is that, like, if you're gonna be mad at Disney for Disneyfying this movie, that's maybe the one thing that the director and maybe the writers were trying to put in there at the end to the studio. Maybe not. Maybe I'm reading too much into that.
Yeah.
But
all right. So as for next week, yeah, it's time to go back to the Emerald City. They say that Wicked Part 2 will change us for good, so it's time to go back to the land of Oz for Disney's other Oz movie. We've done Return to Oz. We've done Oz the Great and Powerful. It's time to look at The Muppets Wizard of Oz.
Just happy
So
to talk
that's going
about
to be.
Muppets again.
I have not seen this movie in about 20 years.
I can't remember how long it's been for me either.
Let's see how the Muppets handle the story of the Wizard of Oz. So we will come back next week for the Muppets Wizard of Oz, and we will talk to you all next time. Bye.
Bye.
Don't let the magic stop here.
Keep the conversation going. Find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Threads at Rewatching the Magic.
We are also on Blue Sky, rewatchingthemagic.bsky.social. And new episodes are available at rewatchingthemagic.podbean.com and youtube.com/@rewatchingthemagic. Remember, the magic is for everyone.
It only stops if you let it.
We know that right now, things are tough.
But in the words of Jim Henson, the only way the magic works is by hard work. But hard work can be fun.
Check out our show notes for ways that you can help.